came out in Europe, at least in England, I believe, before the movie was released in Europe, said the wave of terror that swept across America. And Kubrick controlled the posters very carefully. Now, it made you do a double take. I remember seeing it in Europe. I was the Rome bureau chief at the time for ABC News, and I remember looking at the wave of terror that swept across America. What's he talking about? And you'd sort of think that he was talking about the impact of the book The Shining, maybe. The impact of the movie that I just opened over there, maybe. Didn't quite fit. The wave of terror that swept across America from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon, was the genocidal armies and the white men with their axe clearing it all and bringing in extractive industries, among many other good things as well. But that was the wave of terror that swept across America, terrifying, of course, the American Indians.
Since I'm trained as an historian and my special expertise is in the history of Germany and Nazi Germany in particular, I became more and more convinced that there is in this film a deeply laid subtext that takes on the Holocaust. I think it probably was the typewriter, which was a German brand, which might seem arbitrary, but by that time I knew enough about Kubrick that most anything in his films can't be regarded as arbitrary, that anything, especially objects and colors and music and anything else, probably have some intentional as well as unintentional meaning to them. And so that struck me, why a German typewriter? And in connection with that, I began to see the number 42 appear in the film. And for a German historian, if you put the number 42 and a German typewriter together, you get the Holocaust, because it was in 1942 that the Nazis made the decision to go ahead and exterminate all the Jews they could, and they did so in a highly mechanical, industrial, and bureaucratic way. And so the juxtaposition of the number 42 and the typewriter was really where it started for me in terms of the historical content of the film. Of course, Adler in German means eagle, and eagle, of course, is a symbol of Nazi Germany. It's also a symbol of the United States, and Kubrick generally has recourse to eagles to symbolize state power.
A film that had never been made before. A film that was made by a bored genius who had thoroughly emptied the jug of everything that could be done in filmmaking. And he was looking for the next thing. And what he did was he began reading Subliminal Seduction and a number of other books, which were about how advertisers were injecting images, subliminal images, into advertising to sell products more.
Suggestible trance. Working the way.
You know, it'll be an ad for Gilby's gin, and inside the ice cubes will be various sex organs and things to add a subliminal appeal to the ad. Kubrick went to these advertisers and he asked them what their methods were. And then he took those methods and he applied them to The Shining. Inside The Shining are hundreds of subliminal images and shot lineups. And what these images are telling is a extremely disturbing story. In the office at the very beginning of the movie, and he reaches over to shake Jack Nicholson's hand. And so step through that scene frame by frame, and the moment, the frame that he and Jack Nicholson touch hands, and right after the line that Barry Nelson says, which is "nice to see you," you can see that there's a paper tray on the desk, and as soon as they touch hands, the paper tray turns into a very large straight-on hard-on coming out of Barry Nelson. Yeah, it's hilarious. A serious joke, but a joke by Stanley, and there's many of these in the film.
Kubrick shows you, but he shows you this lobby, and you get to see, as Jack moves across the lobby, you see the elevator beyond, and you see beyond that a hallway. You don't see yet how far back it goes, the other things back there, but you have an impression that this place is towards the middle of the hotel. You just have that impression that it's towards the middle of the hotel. And you go from the lobby into the general manager's office and then into Ullman's office, and there's this window. And the window is a powerful window. I mean, the light coming through there is glaring. It's like a character in itself. It takes over, and you've got these tendrily sinister kind of trees that are outside the window, and you've got it's just such a forceful presence. This light that comes over everything, and there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it, and I think it registers as something wrong. This is an impossible window. It's not. It is impossible. It is physically impossible. It cannot be there. It should not be there. There's no place in the hotel for this window to exist.
You're an asshole. You're a snake, Stanley.
You know, it was a long time ago. You should really move on.
Oh, it's easy to move on when you move into a mansion.
You don't want a mansion, T. Come on. You want an excuse to do whatever the fuck you want.
I see you again, I'll do whatever I want to your face.
Yeah, sure, bro. Take it easy.
Is Danny drawing his mother up the stairs so that she can, sacrifice Jack on top of that weird pyramid?
This takes place because what he has done is found a way to dig into all of the patterns of our civilization, our times, and our cultures, and the things that we don't want to look at. And this movie is very much also about denial of the genocides that were committed, we white folk from Europe committed here. And not that white folks are the only people who genocide all humans do, as Kubrick makes clear in this movie. He would research everything and the full history and nature of everything you're going to see in the movie on the screen. And then boil it down until you got the universal human and global patterns that make it so real.
White man's burden, my man. White man's burden. I like.
Drawn to it, and I realized that's not a skier. That's a Minotaur. It just leaped out at me, and so that was something that I was able to look at later on VHS and say, yes, I'd actually seen a Minotaur there. It's really, overblown physique, very physical physique, and then you've got a suggestion. You have a suggestion of a skiing pole there, but it's not really there. It's just a suggestion of one, and the lower body is positioned the way the legs are. It's like a Minotaur, the build is, and you've actually got a tail there, and so it is a Minotaur. And you also have this whole idea of the stars. And the Minotaur's name is what? Asterius. His name is Asterius, which means starry. So, yeah, I mean, the Minotaur lives at the heart of the labyrinth. He's a part of the labyrinth. Labyrinth, at least in the myth, in this particular myth, was built for the Minotaur. The hotels, it is the labyrinth. And Jack is the Minotaur. His head is tilted down, and his eyes are elevated, they're pointing up, and his eyebrows are drawn up. But he has this expression on his face that he gets progressively throughout the film that is very bull-like. It has a very Minotaur-like expression. It's the same kind of expression that Kubrick pulls out in other films, such as it was on Private Pyle's face in the Berserker scene in the bathroom in Full Metal Jacket. So it's not specific to this film. There's more.